Okay, so Todd sent me this game, um, and it's from April 5th, and he told me that Jesse was playing white, so just ignore the names. I can only analyze it up until this point because something went wrong with the annotation on uh, 20, move 31 or so. Something went wrong with the annotation, but that's okay because most of the game is here. So we'll look at it quickly. The big lesson again in this game, and it was a big lesson in one of the previous games I looked at, was how being aggressive or playing aggressively will win you a lot of games in chess. You'll lose some games, but at least if you play aggressively, get your pieces involved, you'll create some chances for yourself, and you'll keep getting better and better, and you'll keep converting those chances. This game ended in checkmate for white. I don't actually have it here, but it ended that way. And white's success in this game was due to just aggression. He wasn't placated, or what's a better adjective for it? He wasn't content in just shuffling his pieces back and forth. He was playing with a sense of purpose and trying to get his pieces moving towards his opponent's king. So let's go back to the beginning. So it's an opening that we've seen lots of times. Actually, this is the piano again. Except there's a variation. Now we see a variation from what we saw last time. So instead of taking or retaking on that spot, or black's bishop coming out to e6, we see a more aggressive move by white this time. White plays d4, and he's actually fighting to control the center this time. There's a big difference in that move, a big difference in the whole kind of outlook or the whole philosophy of what they're trying to do, because they're trying to take control of the square or to take control of space. It's really important in chess to do everything you can to control space. And with this move, white is showing that he's trying to control space by trying to control this square right in the middle of the board. It's a d4 square. It's the most central square. It's also a little bit of a complicated set of exchanges for 1000 level players, because there's going to be a bunch of pieces taken right here in the center, but white shows that he's not afraid to play that move. Takes with the pawn, takes back with the bishop, takes back, and once the dust has settled, it's white's knight that is sitting in the middle of the board, not black's knight. And that's actually worth something. It means that he's controlling the center now, not black.
Friend departed.
He's the one that's actually took the initiative to fight for that square, and once the pieces were exchanged on that square, he was the one with his piece taking up all of his space now. So now his knight on d4 controls c5, or controls b5, controls f5. It's a big deal. It doesn't look like a lot, but it's a big change in philosophy to actually try and fight over the center rather than just being content in moving pieces back and forth. Black brings his bishop out. Both sides are equal here, but I just wanted to emphasize that white was being aggressive in going for the center. You have to control the center. If you don't control the center, you have to try and control one of the other sides. You have to control something, some space. Threatens the queen. He brings the knight back to protect his queen. Black brings his knight in. Now he's counterattacking a little bit. And white plays another really aggressive move, which I liked. The computer might not like it that much, but I think it's a really good move for for a human being to play, and to play against somebody who's not a computer and who's not a grandmaster. Okay, so this does a number of things. The first thing it does is f5 now threatens to come up into f6. So he's already signaling the intention of attacking black's king with this move. He's already saying that I'm coming to attack your king. I want to bring my pieces over, attack f7, bring my knight and my queen over, maybe even do a rook lift, who knows. So I like that move also. Black responds correctly, a logical move to defend all of those problems. White responds with a logical move again, so everyone's protecting their pieces. This is a totally losing move for black. This move loses for black. Let's have a look at it for a second to see if you can figure out why it's losing for black. I'll wait 30 seconds or so that you can look at this screen and figure out why this move immediately loses for black. Knight takes f5. Okay. Just taking a piece. You can take back the queen with the bishop, rather. Sorry. Now it's my turn to take back. Uh-oh, when the dust settles, somebody's going to be down a piece. Let's see what happened in the actual game, whether white converted that. And yes, he did. And in the right order. And that's it. That's a winning move. Black does a logical move there. And he would have really been in trouble if he hadn't made that move, because then later on, white could have played f5. It's an important idea to think of f5, the idea of pawn to f5. Of course, you can't play it here, because this queen sitting on e5 will take the queen on h5. But the idea of moving the pawn to f6 is really important, especially when it's supported by a rook. It's going to destroy black's king side. He's going to have to push his pawn up to g6 to defend it, and it'll collapse. Now in this game, all white has to do is dance over with his knight and use his pawn, and it's over. Knight comes up. Check, check, all over the place here. Anyway, it went like this. White should have just gone ahead and brought his knight in immediately to d5. There's no reason to delay it. Again, should have just brought the knight into d5 immediately. He's defending the pawn on b2 though. No reason to go to the other side of the board. So he went to b5. I guess Jesse playing white went to b5. Nothing wrong with that, but that's the wrong side of the board. Want to be moving the knight over here towards the king. Okay, and building up pressure over there. Building up pressure with the rook next. Rook lift, rook to g3. Another rook. Bring your pieces over there. That's the idea. Pretty soon he'll have all his pieces over here defending, and you can thrash the other side. Anyway, it's still going to win, but it's just, it's less direct. Now black can gather himself a little bit. At any point, by the way, black could have taken the pawn here on e4, and black does actually win a bunch of pawns back. And I think he won the pawns back because white just became a little bit unfocused here and maybe tired or lazy or something. Which is another, I keep reiterating that in chess, once you're ahead, you can't just lose your focus, but it's hard. It's very mentally draining. Okay. So after 6 moves later, finally the knight is where he should be. There's no need to retreat the queen back. Queen is fine where she was. When she's attacking, be aggressive. Don't have to go running backwards. Check. You can trade off if you want to, but that actually loses a pawn there. Again, you have the chance to put the queen on the more aggressive square. Put the queen on g3, not g2, f3. Put the queen on g3. That's where she needs to be. Why? Because she's threatening the pin here. She's threatening knight f6 check, fork, all of those things. On e3, she's not threatening anything. f3 rather. Oops, black grabs another pawn. And then that, and maybe I'm a little confused. Maybe the annotation of the game was confused, and maybe the queen actually did come here a move earlier. And so if that was the case, then I can understand what happened. Okay, because I saw something like this,
check,
and then this. So I'm going to assume that's what happened in the real game. And then after that, like that happened. And then
check,
something like that happened. I'll just go ahead and assume that's how the game went because the annotation that I read actually didn't make that much sense, or I read it the wrong way because it was so small. But either way, it's still the same central idea. So the main ideas were just logical moves were made, and the big fight over the center in the beginning of the game was what actually won the game for white, I think. Because look, let's go back all the way to the beginning. All the way to the beginning. Once he won that fight over the center, he controlled most of the board for the rest of the game, and he didn't force black to make that mistake, but he put pressure on him. And it's all about pressure and gaining space. And like I said at the beginning of this audio, if you're aggressive and you make a lot of threats and you put pressure on your opponent, then they will make mistakes. Okay.